During any basic service or before a nice long ride, it's always a good idea to replenish and recheck the air suspension not only in the rear shocks, but in the front suspension on a touring model, if so available. To do the rear suspension, I'm going to remove the Schrader valve cap. You'll notice the rear Schrader valve for the rear shocks and the front Schrader valve, which would control the front suspension, are side by side under the right rear saddlebag. With the low pressure, high volume pump installed onto the Schrader valve for the rear suspension, I'll pump it a few times. The specification for the shock is 0 to 10 pounds. The front suspension can take up to 15 pounds. This is strictly rider preference for comfort. Once I have 10 pounds in the back, I like them a little stiff. We'll remove the pump from the Schrader valve, and we'll make sure we reinstall the Schrader valve cap. This keeps any road debris out of this air mechanism. Another thing I always like to check when I'm on this side with the saddlebag removed is not only fastener tension, just check. Make sure the flat washers aren't loose. That'll tell you if a bolt is loose automatically. I also like to pull down the lower protecting boot on the air suspended shock. You want to check this piston for condition and any leaking fluids. If any of these conditions exist, you want to make sure you address them. They cause adverse handling conditions. I want to keep in mind that the same shock assembly appears on the left side of your motorcycle. If when you reinstall the air into the system, it has a slow leak, always check your inlines and your connections on the suspension. At this point, I'd like to take a moment and just review a little bit of the fuse box and the electrical system on the dresser models. I'll remove the side cover, keeping in mind that it is a painted piece, set it aside in a careful place. This is the fuse box on the touring models. Underneath the cover, you'll find there's a small fuse panel, and the box is clearly marked for fuse position. Spares can be found in the top part of the cover. These are also your starter relays. I just want to make one other note. Normal electrical conditions do not cause fuses to blow. If you replace a blown fuse and it blows or pops again, you have a further condition that should be addressed. Maybe component failure, maybe just a chafed wire. That's why I try to make it pertinent while you have any components off, whether it be the seat, the fuel tank. Always check your wiring harness for routing and correct position.